Okay, so as you're kind of finishing that up, I'm gonna kind of start talking through this. So building off of our matrix stuff we were working on yesterday, like arranging the stuff in those brackets, rows, columns, that kind of thing. We're gonna start doing some operations with them. So today we're gonna do add, subtract, and then also scalar multiplication. I'll briefly show you how to do it on the calculator if we have time, but truthfully, these are actually easier to do by hand than with the calculator. So we'll focus on more calculator stuff when we get to multiplying because that's a pain in the butt to do by hand. But this stuff is actually not too bad to do by hand. So I'll if we've got time, I'll show you how to do both ways here. But we'll start by doing it just by hand because, like I said, it's easier that way. So for our addition of this stuff, so it says there if two matrices A and B have the same dimensions, so if like one of them's 2 by 3, the other one to add it also has to be a 2 by 3. Their sum, A plus B, is the matrix in which each element is the sum of the corresponding elements in A and B. Okay, so let me give you an example of that. So I'm just going to make up a couple matrices here. So like say I go like 1, 2, 3, 4 plus, and then I make another one that's a 2 by 2 and I go like 5, 6, 7, 8. How this works is you just take your elements that match up with each other position-wise, and you just add those. So like the 1 and the 5 are both in that upper left-hand corner in kind of that first spot, so you would just take 1 plus 5 and get 6. And that just goes into that same exact spot there. So it's pretty straightforward for addition. So like the one next to the 6 would be like 2 plus 6, which is 8. So like that spot would be 8. The next one below the 1 and the 5, we got 3 and 7. 3 plus 7 is 10. And then the last one would be the 4 plus the 8, which would be 12. And you just add the stuff up that matches up position-wise, okay? So like I said, that's not too bad to do out by hand. You can type all that stuff into the calculator, but it's actually more work on the addition ones to do it on the calculator. So doing it by hand is the easiest way. And then they kind of just say some the similar things there. When we do add, got to have the same dimensions. So like this is a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2, and it kicks out an answer with the same exact dimensions. So they're all 2 by 2s there. And then you just add your corresponding elements together. With this, addition of this is always going to be commutative and associative. So commutative is where you can take the order and switch it around there. So like you could put A first or B first. The A and B are just like the names of the matrices. But you can flip the order around and add them and they're fine. Or it's also associative where you can switch around where the parentheses are at. So like if you had 3 of them you were adding together, here you're adding A and B together and then adding C to that. Here you're adding B and C together and then adding A to that. Any of those things will work. So it can work with commutative or associative. Now the scalar multiplication, this isn't the same as multiplying matrices. We'll do that. I think that might be the next section or the section after that. But what the scalar multiplication is it's just a number out front. So scalar product of a real number k. K is just a number we're multiplying by. And a matrix A is Ka, in which each element is K times the corresponding element in A. So what's happening here when we get to, so on our example sheet, all you're doing, it's kind of like distributive property, you're just taking that 8 times all the stuff in the parentheses group. So like you would just on your calculator just take 8 times 4.2 and you just get 33.6. You'd take 8 times 3 over 2 is the same as 1.5, right? So 8 times 1.5, or 3 divided by 2, which is 12. And then 8 times negative 6.4, negative 51.2. And then 8 times 2, 16 for the last one. So it's kind of just like distributive. You just take whatever number's outside there and multiply all the inside stuff by it, okay? Do you want me to show you the calculator way on that or not? No? Okay, if we get time at the end while you guys are working, I can kind of show you. But like I said, truthfully, it's easier in these cases to do it by hand, so I would just do it by hand. Okay, next couple there, I'll let you get some time to write that stuff, and then we'll finish that last example, and we should have time. I can show you the calculator stuff at the end. This is our last couple things to write, and then just one more example. I'm going to add to the subtraction bullets here. I'm going to put not commutative. Spell commutative. Okay, so let's kind of talk through the subtraction stuff. So very, very, very similar to the addition stuff, where basically you gotta have the same exact dimensions, so 2 by 2, 4 by 4, whatever. And then you're just taking each of the elements that match up in those positions, just like it was for the addition. So like if those are in the same positions, we're looking at those ones. Only difference, instead of add, you just subtract the values. Other than that, it's very similar. But as we know with subtraction, we can't do that both directions, right? So like if something's subtraction, like say if it was just like 5 minus 4, that gives us 1, but if we switch that around the other way, 4 minus 5, is that the same answer? No, right, because that would be -1, so that's what it means when it says like not commutative. You can't switch the order around. Whatever the subtraction sign is with, it just stays with that, okay? So just like normal subtraction. All right, and then we'll get into this other example here. So following two matrices give the number of gallons of gas in thousands sold at a busy gas station, organized by tables, by types of gas, and then also the vehicles that are going in there. And then it says our matrices J and L represent the months June and July respectively. Okay, so this is our June stuff, this is our July stuff. So June, July. Okay, and they have that like the J and the L kind of represent that as well. Okay, so it says create a new matrix that shows the change in sales from June to July. Okay, how do we find out the change in something or like the difference in something? Subtract, right? So what I'm gonna think here is I want to take my current month, July, and I want to take away the June stuff so I can figure out how much it's changed between those 2 months. So basically, I'm gonna take my July numbers. So 21.0, 9.95, 41.8, and so on there. I'm just writing the July numbers out, which is the second matrix. So we're going to take our July ones and we're going to subtract away our June ones. So June 25.0, 10.8, and so on there. And then again, like we talked about before, you just take your elements that match up with each other. So like my first one there, 21.0. Now we're doing subtract this time, the 25. So what's 21 minus 25? Negative 4. So that first one would just be negative 4. And then you just go through that whole thing and subtract each of those out, okay? So you just do like the one underneath that, 9.5 minus 10.8 is negative 1.3. The bottom one there, 41.8 minus 31.0 is 10.8. Middle column, first one, 28 minus 22.5, 5.5. One below that, 8.2 minus 9.4 is negative 1.2. Bottom one in the middle column, 51.7 minus 40.5, 11.2. And then last column, 44.5 minus 31, 13.5. One below that, 6 minus 8.8, negative 2.8. And then the last one there, 59.5 minus 49.5 is 10 even. 10.0. Okay, so then for part B, they want us to answer some questions about that. So which category had the greatest increase and which category had the greatest decrease? Okay, so let's start with increase. Which one increased the most? So like looking at our numbers there, which one's the biggest basically? Bigger. The 13.5, right? So that one would be our biggest number out of those. Now referencing back to like what that actually means, what does that mean in terms of our matrices, the 13.5? It's in the upper right hand corner. Super and cars. Yep, so you just follow over there. Okay, cars. Super is upper right hand corner. So you could just say greatest increase would be super, that's just a type of gas, for cars. Okay, now greatest decrease. Negative 4, right? So negative 4, obviously, if it's negative, that's going the opposite way, right? So the negative numbers, and then the biggest of those would be the 4. So greatest decrease would be that negative 4, which represents what? The regular for cars. So regular gas for cars. Okay, so we got plenty of time. Let me show you how to do the calculator way quick if you want to kind of learn that briefly. So if I go back up to like this one here, if I want to use my calculator on that one, there is a button here that in blue it says matrix above it. So it's like the fourth one down, it's under the math button. See how it says matrix in blue? So to turn on our blue stuff, we hit our second button, right? So you just go second, and then that button that's like x to the power of -1 says matrix, so you just hit that. And then mine probably looks a little bit different than yours because I've already got stuff typed in there, but does everyone have something that's like names, math, and edit? Yeah. Okay, so we want to edit our matrix, so you're going to go over to edit, and then you can type a whole bunch of matrices in here, or matrices in here. That's why it, like, you know, there's a whole bunch of them. You just type in the ones that you need. So like we're just going to type it into A and B. So if I go to A there and I hit enter, again, mine, yeah, I've used it before, so mine says it's 3 by 3. What's the dimensions of this first one here we're adding? 2 by 2. So what you want to do is up top there, you just change your dimensions to 2 by 2. And then if you arrow down, it should switch your little things here to having 4 numbers, so like 2 by 2. Everybody with me so far? And then you just type your numbers into that. So like we had 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just go 1. Sometimes it won't let you arrow how you want to, so you just kind of have to mess with it. Sometimes it gets finicky about the way it lets you arrow around. But you just type those in there. Okay, still with me? So then what you would do is you got to go second, quit, to get all the way out of it. So second, and then quit is the mode button. And then you go back to your matrix, so second, and then that fourth button down again for matrix. Now we're going to go over to edit again, but now we're going to type it into the B because we want it in our second matrix because we already typed the first one in. So I'm going to go down to B this time, hit enter, and then again we've got a 2 by 2 we're adding there. So we'll change it to 2 by 2. Type in your stuff there, so like 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Then we're to the point where we can add them. So again, you go second, quit. Then you go back to your matrix button, so second, matrix. And now we don't go to edit because we've already typed all our numbers in, so we don't need to edit it anymore. What we do is we use the one that says like names just to select those. So when we're adding here, this is our A1, this is our B1, so we're just going to hit enter on A. And then it should take you back to the home screen with A on the home screen. Everybody's got that? And then you just hit plus because we're adding that other matrix to it. Then you just go second, matrix, and we're adding the B matrix to it. So you just go down to B, hit enter, and then hit enter again. And it should kick you out the same numbers we got. So again, that's way too many steps to do it for addition, because addition you're just adding by position there. But you can get the same results from the calculator. If we needed to do a scalar one, so I'm just going to take one of these times something for like a scalar. So like say we're taking this matrix times 8 or something, we would just like do like 8 times, and then you just do whatever matrix you want. So like if I did my first one there and hit enter, obviously it's not the numbers that we got on this one because I didn't type those in, but basically it just took 8 times every number that was in that first matrix. So you just do 8 out front times whatever matrix you got. Okay? But like I said, I wouldn't do the calculator stuff unless you're like super desperate that you don't want to do it by hand, but it's much easier to do the adding and stuff by hand. So, all right, that's your book page there. I think multiplication of this stuff is tomorrow maybe, so, or I could be wrong. I was wrong about what we were doing today, so.